Dungeons & Dragons comes to the world of virtual reality. Plus, Critical Role's Midst podcast is ending.
It's over, Johnny. It's over!
Two big stories today from the character sheet as we dive into the world of virtual reality. And also the world of Midst, which, we can't really turn into a cool sounding thing. Although it is a cool place.
A for effort.
Before we dive into today's news, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. Now that you've done that, let's talk about a couple of things. Dungeons & Dragons is getting an official VR game. Today, Demeo maker Resolution Games announced that they are collaborating with Wizards of the Coast to make an official Dungeons & Dragons virtual reality game. Now, details about the game is light. We don't know anything about it other than that it will come out some point in time in the future. But we're guessing that it will build off of the style of Demeo, which wore its D&D influences on its sleeve. Now, if you haven't played Demeo because you don't have a VR headset, it was a turn-based fantasy RPG that combined turn-based tactics and deck building, and even featured a sandbox-style mode that used the game basically as a virtual tabletop. Now, this is all notable for two reasons. First, of course, is that it's another D&D licensed game. Wizards is really pushing to flood the market with different styles of Dungeons & Dragons video games. We know of at least 3 D&D projects in the works right now, and that's not including any future plans that Larian has, nor does it include games that may or may not be canceled, such as the project from Hidden Path Entertainment. The other big part to all of this is that Dungeons & Dragons is getting into the virtual reality space. VR keeps getting bigger, although personally I'm not entirely convinced that this isn't a case of the industry trying to make fetch happen.
Stop trying to make fetch happen.
And Wizards seems to at least want to test the waters to see if VR is something worth pursuing. Who knows, if this thing is successful, maybe we'll see a VR component to that Dungeons & Dragons VTT that is still in development by Wizards.
Maybe nothing. Maybe everything.
In other big news, Critical Role has announced the third and final season of Midst, which will debut on Valentine's Day. A press release announcing the new and final season mentioned that Critical Role's partnership with Third Person, which is the anonymous creative team behind the podcast, will continue with more projects exploring the universe that Midst is set in. Now, Critical Role purchased Midst back in March 2023 and was the first of their expanding programming slate, which has now grown to include Candela Obscura. Midst has a relatively smaller following compared to other Critical Role projects. Each video that's on YouTube has between about 20 to 30,000 views, at least the recent ones. Now, keep in mind that's not including the podcast numbers, which are likely much bigger, nor does it include, the numbers tied to a premium subscription program that gives early access to the show and some extra, peripheral stuff. So it's likely that Midst's story is wrapping up organically, instead of Critical Role choosing to go in a different direction or canceling it or anything like that. And honestly, there's still plenty of room for Critical Role to expand on the universe. In addition to what's sure to be another podcast project, the world of Midst is ripe for expansion via tabletop projects as well. Midst isn't really a good fit for Daggerheart, but it wouldn't surprise me if Darrington Press was looking to create like an Illuminated Worlds manual or some sort of campaign setting of some kind based on the series and the wider world. Don't be surprised if we see an announcement like that come down sometime in the next year or so.
Can't wait!
Anyways, that's all the news that we have for today. Let us know what you think in the comments.